Hello, hello, hello. There we go. Forgot had it all turned down from when we were messing with the DI the other day for the bass. It's raw. The salmon is raw. We got these here emotes, courtesy of Keep Watch. We actually still have another slot. Yeah, they're pretty sick. They're pretty sick. The only thing we weren't sure about was with Couch Gang, the sort of dark blue purple kind of disappears into the black. Like if you're using a dark theme on the chat, it sort of disappears into it. So we were talking about maybe putting like a little white burst behind it or something. But it still looks pretty freaking good. Pretty freaking good. All right, let's see. Let me go drop the live notice on Facebook. Yeah, I think it's legible enough, especially given how small it is anyway. But we were talking about what to do for the last one. You know, we had Grim had a couple suggestions that were pretty good. Grim had like a whammy bar one, but we couldn't decide on what words to use for the whammy bar sound. Hey, Grim. And then what was the other one? Like you suggested doing like a hand, doing like a death grip or something. Wow, we. But we're not sure. So that's something we can put up in the air. That might even be something we could do a poll on in the Discord. You know, use the dreaded at everyone and tick everybody off. We also have the two high tier subscriber emotes left to do too, but we don't have any of those yet, so there's not really a point in doing them. Unless there's an emote so enticing that you would just have to have, that would just demand that you become a tier 3 subscriber. Oh, good, you found them. You found the new emotes. Yeah, I got two new emotes. We got the Parker Fly, which is one that I've wanted pretty much since day one, and we've got Couch Gang. Because whether you like it or not, y'all are members of the Couch Gang. And Alec can attest, if you come hang out in my gear dungeon down here, you are a member of the Couch Gang. You plop down on the giant couch and play guitar. Because it actually, you can't tell, because of the relative distance to me and everything, but it's actually a really, really huge couch. There might be something interesting on the couch too. I'm not quite so sure what that might be on the couch. The couch is 90% of the experience. Wow. Yeah, don't mind me. I'm just here for the couch. Well, the thing is it's not even appropriate for tonight's theme. Ironically, the thing that would be appropriate for tonight's theme isn't here yet. But this showed up first. All right. Oh dear. You got a McRib ad? Man, you need some ad block because I don't run ads. That means you got like the default, like I have no uBlock origin in my Firefox generic ad. Also, does anyone ever really want a McRib? I can understand if you feel like a compulsion because you're addicted to fast food to get a McRib or something. But who has seen a McRib and been like, yeah, I want it. I got to eat it. Got to shove that in my face. That's going to make me feel better. It's going to make me feel better. I have never bought a McRib in my life. I actually haven't eaten at McDonald's in like 11 years almost. Something like that. 10 or 11 years. Also, what's up, man? How are you? Thanks for jumping into the stream. Oh yeah, the app, the Twitch app has all the ads and stuff by default, but I don't run ads, at least at this point. If I ever get big enough to where, you know, someone wants to pay me to run ads, then I'll probably run ads. As long as they're not something stupid. Well, no, if they are something stupid, I'll run them. No, it is not. You would, in fact, be better off shutting your mouth than consuming a McRib. Alright, what guitar should I play? Should I show you guys the new one? The new one first, even though it's not really a metal guitar. Yes, when someone tries to force feed you the McRib, just shut your mouth and let it just smash into your face. Because there's not, you know, it's not a real rib. It's just going to kind of explode everywhere and smear across your face in some kind of gelatinous mass. Man, this tea is so much better than my old tea. I finally burned through my old box of Taylor's of Harrogate's tea, which was really, really harsh and tanninic and unpleasant, and got some Twinings. I mean, Twinings isn't anything amazing, but it's much better than the Taylor's of Harrogate. All right, I guess I'll get it out here. So this is the one. I found this a few days ago and posted it in the gear channel of the Discord. This is a Caruso guitar built by a small builder in Missouri, of all places, in Ozark, Missouri. But he's definitely going more for that kind of like jam band Fish sort of vibe with it. It's a semi-hollow alder body with a flame maple top, scraped flame maple binding on the top and the neck. A stained, like dirty maple fingerboard, which is kind of interesting, and then a three-piece flame maple neck with, looks like a Purple Heart stringer, most likely. And I'm not sure what the pickups are yet. I haven't taken them out yet. But pair of humbuckers that can be split. You have a three-way switch, a coil split, and then you have whatchamacallit, it puts the humbuckers in series, both humbuckers in series, so it's almost like a blower switch. But he's going for that kind of Languedoc vibe, like the guitars that the dude from Fish plays. It doesn't have a carved, like an arch top like those, but apparently he does make some of those. And I'm actually kind of surprised at how nice it is. You know, it was sort of a little bit of a gamble, but it was also pretty cheap. But his woodworking and finish work is actually quite good. The neck shape is pretty unusual. The neck shape is like almost like a classical guitar, but even flatter. You know, sort of D shape with significant shoulder, but then almost perfectly flat on the back. It's really unusual. Let's get it plugged in. Oh, where's my strap? It's a good bit smaller. A good bit smaller than like than a Starcaster body. You know, it's maybe slightly larger than a PRS. Oh, it's as nice as Melk's work. Well, this one hasn't disintegrated yet, so you know that's something. Poor old Melk. Do you still have those chassis of those deconstructed Melk guitars? I'm kind of surprised you managed to sell them at all. Bridge pickup's probably a little bit high, getting a little bit too much edge from it. Curious. I haven't played it with distortion at all yet. I mean, I only got it earlier this afternoon. It only arrived this afternoon. So, let's try. It's probably going to be, I suspect it's going to be a little too loose in the low end for playing metal type stuff with, as hollow bodies tend to be. This was on the Music Go Round website at a Music Go Round in Virginia Beach, I think. But I posted it in the Gear Deal channel on the Discord. Let's bring the guitar mic up some. You do get that really big kind of low end with it, but pickups definitely aren't hot enough. It's kind of actually sort of interesting that it's a 3x3 headstock, because most of the people that kind of build in this general style of guitar tend to try to copy the Languedoc headstock, which is 6 on a side. But needs a little bit of tweaking, a little bit of setup work, but not much actually. The neck is actually pretty chunky. It's pretty beefy. But it is like perfectly, completely flat. Completely flat on the back, which is really odd. Like it sort of encourages you to stay in sort of a strict classical thumb position. Languedoc guitars. He is the guy from Fish, Trey Anastasio's guitar tech, and he builds these kind of hollow body, archtop hollow body guitars that Trey plays, and all of the jam band nuts pay like 10 grand for them and wait like, you know, 6 or 7 years. if they can even get on the list for them. They're pretty cool looking, but, you know, they are way, way, way too expensive. Yeah, it's a pretty normal width. Feels like a 1 11/16. I haven't measured it, but it doesn't feel particularly narrow. I think it has a little bit of the SG effect in that, like, this upper horn is kind of on the short side, so it makes the neck seem like it's protruding a little bit farther, and that makes the nut kind of, or gives you the image that the neck is more narrow than it really is. But it's definitely got really good sustain. But we'll have to change when we start actually playing some metal stuff. So here, this is the Languedoc guitars, and there's actually like a whole sort of micro cottage industry of guitar builders building copies of Languedoc guitars and charging, you know, $4,000 or $5,000 for them instead of $10,000 for them. But they almost all have really bad reputations of, you know, like never actually delivering people's guitars. Probably because they're hippies. Yeah, it's definitely, it's not snappy enough for that. But for lead playing... As far as I can find, this guy, this builder, Caruso, only has a Facebook that he hasn't updated in a while. So I don't know if he's even still building. Well, you never know. I mean, he appeared to be a relatively young guy with a young family, so you know, you hope not, but you never know. But pretty cool guitar. Especially when you kind of dig into it and see what kind of pickups are in here and take these covers off, because these covers I think someone has just stuck on there. Because I found some older pictures of the guitar on his Facebook and it didn't have covers on it originally. And so I think a previous owner just kind of like dropped these covers on top of here. impressed with it, really. The guy at the music go-round, I called him first to ask if they knew anything about it. He's like, nah, we don't know anything about this at all. Some guy just came in and sold us a bunch of gear because he needed money really bad. Got a really very kind of almost 335-y, very pinched kind of in-between sound. Let's bring the neck pickup up a tad. Maybe bring bridge pickup down just a hair. I think do I need to adjust the pole pieces too? A little better. It's mostly personal taste, Grim. You can find lots of interesting sounds by kind of balancing the pickups differently. The only thing you have to watch out for, in particular on Strats, is the Stratitis that we've talked about, where the pickup starts to actually interfere, the magnetic pull of the pickup starts to interfere with the strings vibration, and that can give you kind of weird overtones and strange sort of hollow noises and stuff, and unstable pitches. And that's because in traditional Strat pickups, the magnets are the actual pole pieces, and they pull really, really aggressively on the string if you get them too close. Humbuckers tend to not have that problem. You can usually get them pretty close without much of an issue. So you just kind of dial them up and down. You know, so let's take this neck pickup as an example. If I bring it way up, like this is pretty close to the strings. I get a really, really, really hot tone out of it. That's actually slightly too close. I think if I pick the string hard, it's going to clip the cover. That does give you the advantage when you have tapping or splitting. That tends to give you a very strong single coil tone. Yeah, anything with a strong magnet or with a magnet that's exposed on the top of the pickup is going to be prone to interfering with the strings vibration. So you have to be really, really careful with adjusting those. But so let's compare this sound with bringing it way down. And some people like their neck humbuckers way, way, way low. Get in there. So it's basically about as low as it's going to go before the screws start letting go of the tabs on the pickup. Here, that's like a much clearer sound. I've got a lot more string detail. But I'm not pushing. I'm like, I don't have anywhere near as much output, because before it was actually kind of overdriving the front end of the preamp a little bit and giving us a little bit of grit. So a huge, way more clarity this way. When we split though, it's going to be really, really, really weak comparatively. So usually there's a happy medium somewhere in between. You know, I'm going to put a couple turns back on it the other way. It's probably going to be a little out of balance with the bridge pickup this low too. Probably somewhere about like this. Just see, I've got a much stronger single coil tone now. Still pretty good clarity, pretty good balance on the humbucker mode. The balance probably still favors the bridge a little bit. That's actually kind of okay, because you do usually want your bridge pickup to be a little meaner. We can dial it down a hair. But it's just, it's personal taste, how you're going to use them, how hard you want to be hitting your amps and effects with them. The individual pickups too, some pickups like EMGs don't have really any string pull, and they want to be really close to the string. Like they're happiest with very, very little clearance. They'll still work from farther away, but they're kind of designed to be like right up underneath the string. No, dude, I wish. There's actually one for sale here in Canton here that he bought from a Guitar Center website for like $2,400, and he's trying to get like $32 for it. I don't think he will, but it's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. If his price comes down or he opens up to trades, I might try to trade him something for it. We were trying to get Grimsworth to go get a job with him, but they're on the other side of the Netherlands from him. Yeah, it was a really nice sounding guitar. Don't know if I'm entirely sold on the neck yet, the sort of profile of the neck. I kind of think I get what he was going for. But I feel like it needs like a little bit of taper, you know, not to just be completely flat. Like it could have really used a little bit of taper, especially down towards the bottom edge of the shoulder. Alright, so what guitar should we change to for actually playing metal? Also, it's December. Should we just do metal versions of Christmas songs? The list of guitars. Oh, man. That's actually something we're going to do. You know, the new camera, assuming shipping, back order, all that sort of stupid stuff doesn't happen to us, the new camera should be here within the next 3 days, hopefully. I need to check the status of the order. But once the new camera arrives, then I'm actually going to do like a full cataloging of my current guitar collection on stream. So I have like video record of every guitar I have at the moment, and you know, we'll play them and go over the all the features and play them, you know, and see what they sound like, all that kind of stuff. I think that'll be a really fun thing to do for the stream, and we make good YouTube content too later on. God rest ye metal gentlemen. Satan rest ye merry gentlemen. God rest you. The problem is you're not allowed to play the melody if it's gentlemen. You can pretty much just go. Alright, so what key is it? Well, I mean, A minor is as good a key to do it in as any. No? Alright, so how does that part go? God rest ye merry gentlemen, may nothing you dismay, for Jesus Christ our Savior was born on Christmas Day to save us all. Da da da. Oh time, oh good time. No. Close. Not quite. Not quite. It's off by a note in there. Let's change to a guitar with a Floyd, though. I think that'll make this more fun. We can get a little sillier too, because the action on the guitar isn't terribly low yet. I've got to do a setup on it. Then it will be low. Let's see. 550, 760, 750. The Soul Tool has a Floyd. Hadn't broken that one out in a while. What else? We've got a bunch of guitars with Floyds. Any preferences? I mean, the 550 is technically red. That's a Christmassy color, right? Though it is fretting out a little bit up high. Where's it at, too? Is it over there? It's over behind the Rhodes case. Yeah, I'll get that one, though. Let me take this shirt off, too. Getting a little bit warm. It'll be cold again in 5 minutes. Da-da-da-da. If you have sunglasses, now is the time for them. Alright, let's update the title. We'll go with God Rest Ye Metal Gentlemen. That'll be a fun diversion for the evening. I don't want to be pigeonholed into gent. Ah, man, total change though. Neck profile. Let's raise this up a little bit. Get a little higher. There we go. Ooh, close. Man, if I get some friggin' money, I am definitely going to buy that green, the green 565. I like the orange too, but the green is an OG color. And the one I've always wanted of the OG colors. don't have that last phrase perfect. It's not quite so scalar. Nope. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of Getting close. Yeah, high octave. Yeah, that's it. Going up to the high octave. No. So. No. All right. Ah, come on. No. 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 So you gotta remember that drop back down to the root there. Oh yeah, to be a boomer. Those halcyon days of being an ignorant moron. I mean, we can get a. Start working in as many bends as we can. That sounds like the type of album you would have had as a child, man. It's actually pretty cool in the lower register. Let's get a few more repeats on our delay. Let's darken our reverb up a little. So where can we do it? Do it whenever we get like a high octave of some kind. Notes for Jesus. Yeah, this we have that one little high fret, that uneven fret up here, so we start to fret out a little bit if we try playing that far up on the D, unfortunately. This is when I really need the recording software too, because then we could do just like a whole little arrangement with rhythm guitar and harmonies and all that sort of stuff. Get some really dumb tricks like that in there. All kinds of stuff we can do with it. What are some other good ones to do though? Because that one pretty much just does that. That's a different song. That Star of Wonder is We Three Kings, which is similar. It's almost like that similar melody but backwards. D-string. style of Hawkwind? What time period of Hawkwind? Or did they actually do a cover of it? I guess it's not really a cover in the case of a song like that, just a version of it. I mean, do you have a Krampus hat? I'm pretty sure we have a Santa hat around here somewhere. Where exactly, I can't say, but... Yeah, there we go. It'd be cool if you could get like a little harmony on the way down. Da-da-da-da-da-da-dum. There's lots of room for doing cool harmonies on all of these tunes, really. If only had some means to record them or to loop them. I saw 3 ships. Let's see. As I go, I saw 3 ships come sailing in on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. I saw 3 ships come sailing in on Christmas Day in the morning. Not quite. Not quite. I saw 3 ships come sailing in on Christmas Day. In Christmas Day. The day I saw 3 ships come sailing in on Christmas Day. What comes after that? I don't even know all the words to that one. Worst Christmas ever. All right, let's see. Let me look up I saw 3 ships because I don't even know what comes next. songlyric's.com. I saw 3 ships come sailing in on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. I saw 3 ships come sailing in on Christmas Day. So it's like the same melody over and over and over. Dang, AutoMod getting you there. Let's see. Find somebody playing it. Richie Blackmore did a version of it. Well, this is a really mellow version.
I saw 3 ships come sailing in on Christmas Day.
Nope.
On Christmas Day.
No hipsters, please. No hipsters. Mormon Tabernacle Choir. Eh. King's College in Cambridge. That's probably a decent one. Looks like a children's choir. So this version's major. Let's see. I saw 3 ships come, oh, 3 ships come, sailing. Close. Interesting harmony underneath that. Wow. Dude, it's pretty impressive. Like the kid's technique is pretty remarkable. The kid that's singing the lead. Hey, Keep, what's up? How are you? I'm all right. Kind of working out shred versions of Christmas melodies. I want to figure out how to do that little... It's not even a trill. I'm not exactly sure what the technique is. The way he's like articulating his R's are really interesting, and I think I can kind of... If I can get the bar flutter just right. It's gonna have to be this type. I need new bushings for the bar too, because it drops. It doesn't quite stay where I want it to stay. If I could keep it right here, I could probably get away with it. I might actually be able to. Well, no, I think it's probably the bushings themselves, because it feels side to side wobbly, not like socket wobbly. The bar movements too. I can get that half step without even... Get a really interesting little kind of swoop up to it with the bar. It sounds like the harmony underneath. Oh, that weird little inversion of like the 2 chord there was crazy. A little bit of high end out. Let's see if we can. Let me smooth this just a touch. Get a little fatter kind of lead tone. reverb down just a little bit. We could bend up from the 4 to the 5, then when we come out of the 5, we come out of the bend, like pull off out of the bend into the 3. That's kind of interesting sounding. If I can do it smoothly. Oh wow, they're getting kind of out. Wonder who arranged this, because that's like pretty dense. It's arranged by the distinguished British organist and conductor Simon Preston, who was an organ scholar at King's College. Oh wow. Dude's serious business. I hope you got the 3. Like that exhalation, that almost kind of trill on the way that kid says 3. Oh, also, random note, Alec, if you're still here, Smurfco actually has 3 Spectrums now. Alec is the dude that bought my old Spectrum, my old blue one. You're the guy that bought my, like, you're casually listening in the background. And you bought my blue Spectrum. Well, Smurfco actually has 2, and with another on the way. He's going to try to collect the entire spectrum of Spectrums, every color. Uh-oh, Guilty Gear. Everyone's gay for Bridget. Do you mean sadly? I mean, is he trying to sell it, or does he just have it? Well, I mean, I would expect that it's probably, probably less than 20, I would think, because there are not many out there. I think I've only seen 2, maybe, including the one that you have or the one that you're talking about. And the rainbow crackles are really, 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 really uncommon just in general. But at the same time, rainbow crackle is a super polarizing finish. Like, a lot of people, even guys that love 80s guitars, hate rainbow crackle passionately. So there's probably an equally tiny market of people that are specifically interested in rainbow crackle Charvels from the 80s, and then an even smaller number of people who are specifically interested in rainbow crackle Spectrums or even know that they exist. Just tell him, it's worth nothing if you never sell it. It's like that dude with the Johnny Smith guitar that lives in Keep Watch's neighborhood, who, I see him every few years, and I'm still like, hey, you want to sell that old Gibson you got? And he's like, oh, you mean that old Fender thing? Is it a Fender or Gibson? I can't remember. Like, what do you want for it? Oh, I don't know. As my daddy's, I don't know. I'm not sure. Well, how about $1,000? Well, I don't know. I just can't say. I reckon, it's just sitting around my house. I ain't done nothing with it. It's just sitting there. Well, come on, sell it to me. I want to fix it up and play it. Oh, I don't know, man. They're so obsessed with the idea of somebody else, getting it. Somebody else, getting one over on them. Then they never sell the things. Then they die and their wife throws it in the trash. Or gives it to Goodwill. But I'd come at the guy, if you really, really, really want it, I'd just come at the guy with a number. Pretty much the top end of the Spectrum market is that, 1100, 1200 range. That'd be like the extreme top end. But I think that color, honestly, would be difficult to sell, just in general. So I would be hesitant to pay absolute top of the market for it unless you've just got to have it and don't care. But you start getting past that price range, and to me, there are other things you can buy for that money, including multiple other Spectrums. And maybe he'll develop some sense. Yeah, I think if you could get it for that area, like 800, you'd be fine. Like I said, I'd be hesitant to go super high on it. But you got no idea what the guy's thinking until somebody puts a number on the table. Put 650 or 700 on the table and see what he says. If he just rejects it outright, or if he says, "Oh no, I was thinking more like 1,000. Then you say, well, how about 850? But, you know, somebody's got to get a number into play to get it going. You know, I mean, well, you've been guitar shopping with me. It's been a long time, but, you know, pawn shopping and stuff like that. But if it's me or my dad or somebody, we pretty much just walk up and say, you know, here, will you take this? Cash money. Even if it's a complete lowball. Yeah, 13. I definitely wouldn't go 13. You know, I mean, that's, you're into like mint condition Model 6 territory. You know, really higher end models and well, not necessarily rare models, but more desirable and broadly collectible models. And if he's still got it and it's December, then his price is clearly too high. Yeah, I know what I got, boy. Dude, Casey Jolly, what is up? Thank you so much for that resub. That's incredible. On a 4-month streak. A 4-month streak. That is awesome. Oh wow, you unlock, what'd you unlock? 2020 pajamas? Ah, super cool. That's an oddly specific insult. Oh, dude, Casey, we've got, check it out. We have new emotes. We have the Parker Fly emote. And we now have Couch Gang. Because that's what folks do when they chill out in the gear dungeon. And what will happen once the pandemic is over. There will be much Couch Gang. And there will be this week, assuming the shipment doesn't get back ordered or held up or whatever, there'll be new camera this week so you can see how ugly I really am. Thanks to the support of viewers like you. We were discussing earlier, we still have one more emote slot too to fill, aside from the, you know, tier 2 and tier 3. So there may be a poll at some point, maybe in the Discord, discussing what to do with that final emote slot. It's supposed to be Metal Night, but I'm kind of chilling tonight. it in the whole like Wayne's on way too much coke and hanging out with pop stars too much time period? Because not much of anything they did, you know, the last basically everything preceding the previous album. Yeah, it sounds like Memphis Man. That one guy was walking in Memphis. Sounds like you were hopping in Memphis. Ah, come on, I can do that better. Goodness gracious. I have like a wild mustache hair. Oh my gosh. That keeps like turning upwards and going up my nose. Gosh. Oh man. I'm gonna have to trim the stupid thing. I was planning on growing out the dumb, you know, dumb curly stash again. But it's annoying the crap out of me this year. Or so far this year. Yeah, Rusty getting gnarly lately, man. First it was Bunny's mom. Then it was CNBT. Now it's social diseases. Yeah, I hope you use some Gorilla Glue. You know, something that's a complete pain in the butt to extract in the event that the nut does need to be replaced. Hope it was on a vintage guitar too. So when they take it to, you know, their town's most respected vintage guitar repairman, he's gonna go to pull the nut out and be like, man, somebody done super glued this nut in. R.I.P. your guitar neck, especially the finish around there. Yeah, the entire bottle. He just wiped all the excess. Instead of wiping it off, he just wiped it up and down the neck this way. Helps slow down people who play too fast. Make sure you got some of the extra down inside the truss rod. You know, all around that truss rod nut. That way the truss rod can't get loose, you know, can't adjust itself. Once you got it dialed in just right. About to be up my nose. I'm gonna have to go get my my trimmer and like trim this freaking friggin' mustache or just shave the whole thing off. I feel it like every 10 seconds that little hair goes bing and pops up and tickles my nose. Dude, I shaved my head one time because it was really hot and I needed a haircut. And I didn't feel like paying for it. And my head was super sweaty. And so I got mad and just like shaved my head. And oh my God, it felt amazing. Looked horrible. Looked like I had, you know, a terminal illness. But my God, it felt amazing. Like absolutely incredible. My scalp had never felt, you know, the breeze before. But, absolutely incredible. Alright, let's see. I think Alec actually made specific requests. Ah! What we got? Metal shirts, oh boy. Alright. Let's do that one. We haven't done anything from them, I don't think, on stream yet. See what tuning we're into. Alright, let's give it a listen. Boom. Alright, so we're in D. Alright, so we're either... Alec, do you know if we're in D standard or drop D? Ah! Incredibly annoying. Definitely need to not be using this guitar. I think it's drop D. Probably Les Paul then. It's probably the closest thing that I can easily put in drop D, as much as it will aggrieve Alec. Well, detuners don't work on recessed Floyds like this. You got to have the non-recess. Let me grab a guitar I can put in drop D. Hold on. So Grim, the detuner, it attaches to the intonation screw, like the set screw on the back of the E string on the Floyd, and it sticks out. So if you have a recess, like a floating Floyd where you have a recess underneath, that thing hits the corner of the recess, it prevents you from pulling up. And depending on like the depth of how deep your Floyd is set into the recess too, sometimes it just completely can't be mounted at all. So it only works on dive only, non-recessed Floyds, which is what the original ones were. Your early Jacksons and Charvels and whatnot. Probably don't need, we need to go to the crunch channel for this too, I would think. Mustache hair. This is going to be a problem all night. Let's update the guitar command. Yeah, you have to extend the cavity. You have to actually create like a space or a channel for it if you want to have any kind of pull up with it at all. This guitar doesn't need the boost, I don't believe. Yeah, I do. I got this guitar right after we moved to Georgia. You know, 2003, 2004, something like that. Run on the lead channel with this. Yep, you press the frets with the abalone. See, wood fret, you got the wood fret, and then you got the shell fret. You got the wood fret, you got the shell fret. Sound totally different. Totally different. All right, so let's see. I'm gonna get I'm gonna get mad enough to just go shave the mustache completely off in the middle of the stream. My God. Stream it for donations. Remove a centimeter of mustache hair for every $5 donated. Oh yeah, they get like a Dollar Shave Club or oh, what's the other one? What's the other one that's on all the YouTube videos where it's like men's grooming? You know, the pinnacle of men's grooming, whatever. All right, hold on. No, Numlock, go away. Oh yeah, do the comparison, so you can hear wood frets, shell fret, wood fret, shell fret, wood fret, shell fret. So you hear there's a subtle change in about the 20K region, because you know that shell fret's stiffer than the wood there, so it gives you more high-end sparkle. Which is fine, but I mean, I don't want my Les Paul to be that sparkly. So I can only play on the wood frets. It don't matter what the song is. I can only play on the wood frets. So right, I'm gonna play Crazy Train, but on the good wood frets. You see how much sweeter that sounds? If I play that on them frets with the shell, don't sound good at all. I mean, the notes is right, but it sounds bad. This is doing a full cover of Crazy Train, completely avoiding all frets with fret markers, including the solo. Yeah. That's gonna be hard to do, damn. Yep, need me a Line 6 Spider 2. Not the Spider 1. The Spider 1, they are still getting stuff right. They didn't have it down. But the Spider 2, boy. Shoot. Got that insane mode. I ain't never heard nothing like it. What are we even playing? Oh, Lord. All right, let's see. So, right, so we got a big D, and then we have some chugs, right? Used to have this student, this guy, middle-aged guy, who made a lot of money at his job, but he was divorced, so he didn't have anything to do except spend his money on guitars and alimony. And alimony. But he was obsessed with the D chord. It was pretty much the only chord he could play, because he wouldn't really practice. He would just go, every week he'd buy a new expensive guitar and show up and play his D chord on it and be like, man, don't that sound good? And I'm like, yeah, it does. That's a nice guitar. And he's like, yeah, I know I didn't really work on what you gave me, but gosh, it sure sounds good if I play this here D chord. But he insisted that the D chord was the sound of rock. And he said almost, like, not quite as extreme as Unknown Henson, but he just about had the rock going on. Like, oh boy, listen to this here D chord, man. That sounds like rock. It's one of my favorite students, though. I think he died because he just kind of disappeared one day. He was always really depressed about being divorced. And he just kind of vanished. I think I saw him around town like maybe once afterwards. Alright, so about to do that. So Right, so we have the D minor scale that we're kind of working in here. We have D, then we're going to come up to F, E, D, C. The only clips I've ever deleted are clips that are just like random accidental clips. You know, ones where somebody was trying to make some other clip, or, you know, followed and it automatically clipped their follow or something goofy like that. There's still, if you go back to the old clips, there's still all those really dumb ones that you guys made at the very beginning. In fact, which I think one of them is revolving around the D chord. Something about like we're hitting a big D or something like that, and you guys are like, I'm going to make a clip of that. Because we're literal children. We're 25-year-old children. You have to set the time period. You have to show do show all. Come on, Twitch. Come on, Twitch. Load, please. There we go. Videos. Don't want to look at that. Let me look at... No. God, they made it so convoluted. There we go. Okay, videos. Then you got to go click clips. And then you got to do top. You got to go to the right and do all. And then... Yeah, so see, like the second, if you if you do all clips, the second most viewed clip is the one where I tell, like, from the second or third stream maybe, where I pretty much just say, like, don't be bad. Really, really helpful. But yeah, the one you're looking for is the alternate picking exercise. So that's on the second row down. I'm wearing a blue shirt, playing the Strat Ultra. If you were looking for that kind of beginner exercise clip. But it's definitely still there. Because as far as I know, it keeps clips forever. You know, it deletes the streams, like the VODs, after a month or something. Speaking of which, I need to check and see which ones I need to download tonight. Alright, so... So similar, but then the second time, we come back up to the F, then up to G, then down to C. So let me listen to this whole intro phrase. All right, so we picked that C twice too. So first time. Keep wanting to chug that low string though. It's actually just staying on the C chord. Do the first part again. Do the second part again. Then we're letting the D ring out. Okay, so. right, so let's get the chug rhythm. It's a little different. Da 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 dum da 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 dum da 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 dum ba da 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 dum. Bro, Rusty. Rusty, thank you for that resub. Gotta love the Rusty boy hanging with us after his prolonged absence. Thank you so much. What did we get here? We got 2020 gift. Alec got 2020 suspicious. Alright. I have no idea how any of this works. No idea whatsoever. But just know that you are officially a member of the Couch Gang. Pretty much an OG member of the Couch Gang before the Couch Gang was the Couch Gang. And now you have access to the Couch Gang and the Parker Fly, as well as Boo and Blue Scale. Because we have sweet new emotes. Oh man. Alright, so da 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 da. If you have someone subscribe, no idea. Right, so then we got to get the Alright. You can subscribe and hold the share. You're a masterful typist tonight, my man. Ba da 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 da. All right, so we're kind of coming into this ascending slide. We start to get these inversions. Ba da da da. Doodle-la, doodle-la. Are we playing thirds? So actually there's one guitar that's going down and there's another guitar that's going up. So one guitar is going, the other guitar is going. We can try to making like a composite part. Couch Gang. Da 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 da. Da da. da 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 da. So at the end of that, nope, too many. We don't have the rest again the second time. It's kind of interesting how it breaks up the chugs in that. Like it's kind of odd in terms of how they're subdivided. It's not the way you think of like a regular. Can't hear that little fill back there. God, it's super faint. Something to that effect, but man, it's buried way in the background, like a little descending D minor scale type of phrase. Right before the vocals kick in. Da 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 All right, so the verse is just starting off with super hard. All right, so then down to B flat. We have that little fill again, but again, it's super buried. B flat. A. All right, then there's that riff again from the intro. All right, so. Wow, wow. Boom. Dude, Smurfco, thanks for hanging out. Dude, and everybody, if you didn't catch it earlier, make sure you click on Smurfco and give Smurfco a follow. Because I used to be in a band with Smurfco. We've been friends for years and years and years and years. And he's a great musician, a great songwriter and singer. And you guys should definitely check him out. He started his first little stream earlier today. I'm going to try to push him to do it more often. But it'd be great if you guys could support him too. And go give his channel a follow. And we'll see you next time, Smurfco. This is a pretty cool riff. A. So that one sounds almost like it goes down chromatically. Back down to the D. Blood. So there are little variations. They're really, really difficult to hear, but little variations of that lick that comes after the A each time. So you have one that's more kind of a triplet feel, right, and one that's, you have to just sort of listen each time through, blast the thing so you can try to hear it because it's buried. The same riff again. B flat, C, B flat, and that's an E flat. That's pretty cool. So chug. Interesting. Then it shifts up to G minor for our solo. That's pretty cool. Alright, so let's get a rhythm part. That's a total that's like straight up man. So I got some vocal harmonies for that. So it's kind of opening up on the relative major. That's also the same chord progression as Save Tonight. Fight the break of time. And a whole bunch of other pop tunes. Alright, so now we're going to get something a little different. So we get this more chromatic kind of sound here. We're coming out of this super consonant. Then we sort of hear that the solo 2 becomes more dissonant here. Now we're back to the first part of the solo. So basically, it sounds like we're doing this whole solo structure, rhythm-wise, over again. So we started off with... bring G down to E flat. Boom. And we'll look at the actual lead part in just a second. All right, so back to the intro riff. All right, so let's come back to the beginning of the solo and start looking at the actual lead part. So we're in the G minor scale. So one guitar is playing this kind of little lower G minor scale phrase. Do da do da. There we go. So the lower guitar is playing that. The other guitar sounds like it's playing like a fifth above. Then we're down to, sounds like an E flat Lydian kind of sound. An awesome V. So the lead guitar at this point actually just changes and pretty much just like. Did you put it in? You link it in Discord? Because the device stuff is usually pretty shreddery. Ugh, ugh. I don't know about that pick guard. I don't. Is that a pick guard or is that a sticker? Other than that, it's pretty cool. I like how sort of stripped down it is. I don't know. I could do without that part. to be coming down. Going to be coming down chromatically. It sounds like from the. We're going to start off on the 5th, then up to the minor 7th, then down chromatically. Oh man. There's a whole lot of fun translations of those like 70s and 80s Japanese guitar ads. All right, so yeah, when we get to the chromatic part, our lead guitar just goes. Then we're back to our. And back to. Right, and then we do our chromatic part again. Right, then we come back into our. No problem, dude. Glad to have you. Glad you could stay this long. You usually don't get to stay this long on Mondays, so that's super awesome. I think I've shown you guys that before, but if you want a cheap trick to get like deathcore sort of cliches, that's a really easy one to do with a bunch of gain. Just take like the 4th fret harmonic across all the strings and rake upwards on it. Makes a really nice cacophony. So pretty straightforward, really, up to this point. So just doing all that again. Oh, it dropped one that time. That's interesting. It's sort of interesting. It dropped a part of a measure that time through. So. B flat, A. So this is the same as the verse part previously. We have these little variations making our way back down to the D. So that time we get this kind of walk down, starting with the B flat, A flat. When we get down to here to the F, we go down chromatically. So this time he's playing full-on power chords instead of playing the third. He's playing. We start to get another lead guitar come in. All right, and so now we're actually playing the solo in the key of D minor, using the D minor blues scale. And he's using this sort of thing that we see a lot of rockabilly players do, where we kind of use the sort of same little shape. Yep. The good old blues scale. Who would have guessed? Who would have guessed? So it's all pretty much just like blues scale box type stuff. He's just kind of like wailing away underneath the riff in the background. So it sounds like we repeat that little variation of the descending riff 3 or 4 times here at the end. So we got the very beginning again, the intro again. Bow. All right, so we're coming out of. That's a pretty sick riff. Pretty sick riff. You know, the solos are nothing too crazy, which is really what you expect for that time period, really. But just really great riffs. And kind of an interesting way of syncopating it too, a way of kind of breaking it up so it wasn't just, you know, kind of those little stops and starts here and there. Made for some really interesting time feels. Okay, let me take a quick bathroom break, and then we'll get back in. Something I wanted to do, Grim, is I wanted to try to sort of see if we could dial in something akin to that tone in that one tune you posted last week that you were really into. So give me a minute. I'll be back in just a sec, and then we'll check that out. Alright, so we go find that vid in the Discord. Oh man, that telly style one is pretty sharp. Oh wait, I think it's in a different section. Might be. Did she post it in the general section? Mid-range. Find the right pinch harmonic. you got a lot of highs pulled out, and the mids boosted way up. There we go, and a crap load of gain. Which is definitely part of the sound. A metric ton. Of gain. Part of it is like how you dial your amp in. For instance, I've got basically my treble cut like a ton from where we normally use it. Like if we tried using this for a rhythm sound, it's going to be super thick and kind of soft compared to what we were using, which was a sound that had the mid scooped out more and the highs boosted a bit to give us more kind of edge to the sound. So what I've been doing is I've been pulling highs back, pulling the highs down, bringing the mids up, pulling the highs down, bringing the mids up. That starts to kind of cut out some of the fizziness and graininess that we get. Actually get this preamp is capable of an insane amount of gain. But then the other part is how you actually play with it, how you pick with it, you know. So like I'm keeping everything pretty controlled with the right hand. Like I'm muting out all the strings that I'm not playing. I'm using like very light kind of right hand, relatively speaking. Darker guitar, this is a very bright sounding guitar. A little bit darker guitar, it'd be closer. Da 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 da. And I mean, some high gain amps, like say the Bogner model in your Zoom, they're kind of famous for being able to get this really sort of smooth, thick kind of high gain tone too. You know, just start dialing your highs down, bringing your mids up, bring your bass up a little bit. You don't want to get too pillowy. You don't want to get too much bass, but. Don't think it goes that high. So it sounds like we get a little fast run up from the low E. Up to that C like that using the E minor scale. That pinch harmonic, man, it just absolutely screams. How do you want to finger that's the question. A couple different ways we could do it. So we just let that F sharp ring out. That F sharp starts to feed back. It actually rings out for solo. Not playing loud enough to get the feedback, really. Right, then our vocals start. So pretty much using basically all E minor scale at this point. bending that perfect fourth up, coming down, minor third, then the major second with a pinch harmonic. Right about there. Then we're dropping down an octave to that minor third. Then a run up, sort of a fast legato run up the scale. Up to the E at the, well, we could play this at the 7th fret on the G or the 5th fret on the B, whichever one you prefer. All right, then our vocals start. You don't actually need to trim at all for it at this point. I'm just using the trim for fun for the vibrato, but that you can do that with finger vibrato. Right. I'm just using the Floyd to make the vibrato a little more varied. But you don't need one at all yet. I mean, there may be other stuff in the tune that needs it, but. Down to C. Down to A minor. Up to D, down to B7. Man, they like this chord progression. They used a similar chord progression in one of the other songs we did. Doodle down. Alright, so this is using kind of like a suspended sound. Right, where we have like sort of an E minor. But we're starting off with the middle finger lifted up. Or you can play it down here. That stays the same actually, well the chords change underneath it so far. Right, so we start to build out of that. Then we get us over a C. Then over an A. Then over a D. Then a B. Then back to E. Then we start to play more straightforward power chords. C, D, boom. C, D, E, G, D, E minor, Back to D. Okay, so we get this sort of chorus section. C. Back up to D. Then back up to E minor. So this sort of little chorus bit. Then our sounds like our keys are going to take over for a minute. Back into that little pattern. B, E, G, D, E minor, back to D, C, D, E minor. All right, so right, so that's kind of a unison bend. That's minor E minor blues scale, bending the 15th fret on the B string up against the 12th fret on the E. And a little bit of blues scale noodling. D, E minor, C, no, back to D, sorry. Then C, back up to D, all right, so then going to be C, D, C, D, E minor, it sounds like, for this little solo section. Yeah, dude, now this whole little solo that's coming up here is pretty much just blues scale noodling. Eventually, if you noodle around enough with the blues scale and listen to enough songs, you'll start to hear these phrases, these ideas come out that fall under the fingers very conveniently. And so when it comes time to take a solo, you can kind of find what they're doing, or at least something very, very close to what they're doing without a lot of effort. Right, so she starts off with a little kind of like blues. And then makes her way down into that sort of E minor sound similar to what we had at the beginning. Then it sounds like it's going to do a little sort of stair-step type pattern up the scale. So using a little octave. Right, just coming up the E minor scale. Right, so then we're back in that original blues scale box. So it sounds like a little tap there. big jump up the fingerboard. Yeah, so you can sort of hear. You can hear the outline of basically that whole solo once you can sort of visualize. You know, the sort of outline of those scales, of those two scales that are used, the E minor blues scale and the E natural minor scale. And they overlap with each other. You know, so if we have the E minor blues, we also have those tones from the natural minor kind of right there on top of it. You can kind of just make your way back and forth through them. You'll start to find those phrases coming out. You'll start to hear them. The more you listen to it, you go like, okay, wait a minute now. I just need to tweak this. I just need to modify this little line a little bit, the timing of this little line a little bit. It's all just right there under the fingers though. Nothing crazy at all. There's that unison bend again. Man, that's a lot of gain. Once you play with that much gain too, you barely have to touch the strings really to set them in motion. Come on, Red. The chord part of that one, the actual chord component of that song was easier than the last one we did from them by pretty significantly. Some similar sort of ideas, but a lot more easy to execute. What, the diving harmonics? sorts of goofy stuff you can do with that. Limelight solo uses that kind of diving harmonic. And a lot of Vi stuff uses them for kind of tricks and special effects. Yeah. I don't remember the name. It's been a while. Been a couple months at least. Exercise I wrote for that for the sweep tapping exercise we did. That'd work really well in this context. That sounds familiar. That sounds familiar. You could probably find it if you look back through the Discord. Pretty sure it was in the Metal Monday section of the Discord. If you could like search for your own post or something. Man, that's hard. How he manages to play that at that tempo, that cleanly, just absolutely mind-blowing. Dang it. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I guess it was the 80s. You had to have the chops to burn, but still. Like I've worked on that off and on for years and years and years and years, and I still can't get it consistently clean when I get anywhere close to the tempo of the original recording. But his style, and that's one of the reasons why I work on it a lot, because his style is kind of totally the opposite of my sort of natural style. Like, he picks so much. He picks every tone, you know, perfectly. Well, I tend to be more kind of a legato style, you know, more akin to someone like Frank Gambale or something. Oh wait, I missed a follow at some point. Didn't hear it at all. Price is Right, $22.93. Thank you for following. I'm sorry, I must have been drowning myself out with noodling, but I totally missed the alert. I mean, I don't think I heard it at all. I mean, I just now saw it. I looked at Streamlabs. I don't know, maybe Streamlabs has a delay or something. Because, I mean, I've been looking back and forth at chat and Streamlabs and stuff and haven't seen it until just now, but it says 4 minutes ago. I'd have to have lights that could do that first. It'd be pretty easy to do actually with a half, you know, with any kind of decent lighting rig. Full-blown laser shows. Just play Pink Floyd with lasers. Talk about blues scale, man. Bandmate is asking for trouble. People will be asking for the outfit and then immediately regretting their decision. A little bit of a Mixolydian sound if you do that. That was some fun, ludicrously high gain noodling. love with the in-between positions on the Hum Single Hum RGs. I think they're a little too close together. You know, the 24 fret board kind of pushes the neck pickup back a little bit. And when you do these split kind of in-between sounds, they're a little bit too reedy. You don't get the same kind of quack that you get with a Strat. Actually really surprising how well this guitar works for country. That's pretty rough fighting against the Floyd when you start doing these multi-step oblique bends. You'd like really, really, really low spring tension, but then you have to compensate for all of the movement, all of the counter movement in the Floyd. Pretty rough. Why are all the songs in A too? Because it's kind of an easy key to noodle in. And all right, anyways, we've been going for about 3.5 hours. That's plenty for a Monday night. If you haven't hit the follow button, hit the follow button. We'll be back Wednesday with, what is this Wednesday's theme? Some kind of theme this Wednesday. We might do a workout Wednesday where I write some exercises for you guys for working on some different techniques or styles of music, stuff like that. I'm not sure yet. Whatever the theme happens to be. But hit the follow button. If you'd like to sub, we'd love to have you sub because we've got some sick emotes, including the new Couch Gang and Parker Fly emotes. If you're not in the Discord, our Discord is a great place to leave requests for the different theme shows over the week and just talk about guitar and music in general, and we'd love to have you in there as well. I'll drop the link for the Discord there. And we have socials. We have YouTubes, which mostly has old VODs on it at this point, but we'll have more content eventually. Hey, Rusty. And the Instagram with guitar pictures. But we'll be back Wednesday with some kind of stream, doing something fun on guitar. Whether it's playing... Are we doing Weeb Wednesday? I think that's what we're actually due for. Should look into doing K-pop merch. I'm not Korean. So K-pop merch probably wouldn't work. Just regular non-K-pop merch. I mean, like what? I don't know. That's not really even something I'd considered. Though Streamlabs does constantly pester you to set up a merch store. I mean, there used to be the Atlanta Pop Festival. Hendrix and the Allman Brothers and everybody played there back in the 60s. But that's kind of a different thing. And if you said A-pop, they'd probably think you're Australian. I don't know, something to think about. Something to think about. Anyways, thank you all for hanging out. Thanks for making requests and chatting and all that fun stuff. Keeping the stream lively. And we'll be back, as I said, this Wednesday at around 9 p.m. Eastern with either a Weeb Wednesday or a Workout Wednesday, or what else do we have? We have Pre-War Wednesday, which is Keep Watch's favorite, where we play pre-war blues. Chains, man. Yeah, Smurfco's gonna get pretty annoyed if all you want to do is shout slogans from the president's songs. Oh Lord. But anyways, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna go fix some food. See you guys next time.